ChatGPT projects, Claude projects, custom GPTs in ChatGPT, so many people assume that they basically do the same thing just from different companies, but that assumption is costing serious time and money for people because with these tools, while they might look similar on the surface, each one has a specific superpower that makes it perfect for certain tasks and completely wrong for others. And I've spent months testing all three of these tools on real projects like content creation, team collaboration, client deliverables. And so today I'm breaking down exactly when to use each one of these, and more importantly, which one is actually going to save you time and money based on what you're trying to accomplish in your business. Now, as I begin to talk about ChatGPT projects, Claude projects, and GPTs, these have been around a while, right? But there are a ton of shiny new AI tools that feel like they're dropping every day, right? Most are overwhelming, half-baked, or just fun for maybe 5 minutes, but almost none stick or improve your day-to-day. Now, one of the few tools that I've continued to use over and over because it genuinely makes me more productive without adding to my workflow is called Recall. And I've talked about it here on the channel before. Whether I'm reading a long article, listening to a podcast, or watching a deep dive, I click the Recall extension either in my browser or on my phone, and it creates a summary of whatever I'm consuming or looking at. It lets me chat with my content inside of Recall and saves it and organizes it in this smart AI library. I don't have to lift a finger. So if you're looking for a super simple way to enhance your everyday with AI, I want to invite you to check out Recall. You can get 25% off of Recall with the promo code RECALLRICK, and I will link to it in the description below. Now, going back to ChatGPT projects, Claude projects, GPTs, the difference of these tools primarily are in their architecture. They're actually very different. Now, let me show you what I mean. Now, let's start with Claude projects. Once you go into Claude, whether it's a desktop app or the web app, in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see projects right under chats and new chat. I'm going to click on projects. You're going to see if you have projects right here, or if you've never created a project, you're just going to go in here to click on create a project, name your project. If you want to describe it, what have you, you can click on create project. It's going to look like this. And essentially what Claude projects is, while chats are going to be exactly what it sounds like, individual chats about different topics, you want to create a project if you want to consolidate your work or come back to a specific project that you're working on over and over and over. The other huge benefit to Claude projects is the ability to set specific project instructions for each individual project that you set up. This is basically your prompt essentially for that particular project. What do you want it to do? And then also your project knowledge. So you can give it knowledge files. This is your knowledge base so that the entire project has context of whatever it is that you want that project to do. Now, while Anthropic was the first to have Claude projects, then ChatGPT added projects several months ago. So it looks very similar. So if you scroll down in the left-hand column here, you can click on new project. I'm going to click on test project. That's what we're looking at right here. And as you can see here, it's going to look very similar where you have add instructions, same thing that we just looked at essentially over in Claude. Add files, same type of thing where you can add knowledge files to your ChatGPT project. And then on the flip side, you've got your custom GPTs inside of ChatGPT. So for example, I can click on GPTs right here, come up into the top right, click on either my GPTs, or I can create a GPT, and I'll take you into this coming up here in the video. But just want to set a baseline of the three different tools that we're talking about here today that, like I mentioned earlier, get so often confused. So the first point that's really important to understand when trying to decide which of these tools is best for your specific use case is the context window that comes with each Claude project, ChatGPT projects, and a custom GPT. Now, the context window in a Claude project refers to the amount of project knowledge that you can add, number one, to the project, and number two, how long essentially the conversation can be within the project. Now, what I want to focus on for this video here is the amount of project knowledge that it can essentially process. Because before, when I'm recording this video in June of 2025, it was a problem. Claude projects, the context window is 200,000 tokens in a single conversation. That's equivalent to about 500 pages of text. And just recent to this video, Anthropic has now added the use of RAG to Claude projects. RAG is retrieval augmented generation. And essentially what RAG is, it lets your Claude project store and access significantly more knowledge, up to 10x more than before. Remember, the context window size is 200,000 tokens. Now that context window is still there. However, with adding the feature of using RAG within Claude projects, you can just load up the project knowledge and Claude will still, within the project here, be able to really intelligently process and search through all the files that you give it as project knowledge. And the cool thing is that when your project's content approaches that 200,000 token context window limit, the technology that, behind the scenes of your Claude projects is automatically going to switch to RAG mode, which is going to ensure faster responses for you. And it's not going to sacrifice accuracy or depth of what it's pulling from your project files. Now, on the flip side, with a ChatGPT project, you're gonna max out at around 32,000 tokens for Plus and Team users, or 128,000 tokens if you're on the Pro plan, which currently is $200 a month. And then custom GPTs, on the other hand, still fall within that 32,000 to 128,000 token range because it's also ChatGPT, but they handle it differently. They handle the content that you upload into your knowledge files differently through file retrieval rather than holding everything in active context. And we're talking about the knowledge section right here where you upload files. Now, this isn't just a numbers game though. Here's when this actually matters for you. If you're regularly working with comprehensive reports, legal documents, extensive research, or anything that's going to require understanding the full picture of context, whatever you've uploaded across maybe hundreds of pages, Claude can hold the entire context of all that information. While ChatGPT projects and custom GPTs are going to force you to chunk everything up. And when you chunk things up, you can lose the big picture connections that often contain the most valuable insights. But here's the thing, if you're not working with massive documents regularly, this advantage doesn't really matter a whole lot. So for most everyday tasks, the smaller context windows are completely fine. But context windows are just one piece of the puzzle here. A real differentiator when deciding which of these tools is best for your use case is something that most people unfortunately discover much too late. And it's a big one, and that is the fundamental difference in how these tools handle collaboration. With Claude Projects on the team and enterprise plans, they offer true shared workspaces. Multiple people can access the same project, contribute files, build on the shared context that you're putting in there, and have conversations that everyone can see and learn from. It's like having a shared brain for your team. Now, as the owner of a project within a team plan or an enterprise plan, you get to decide who has access to your projects. Now, with ChatGPT projects, these are individual workspaces only, whether you're on a Teams plan or not. There is no sharing capability across accounts. So each person's gonna have your own isolated project, period. Now you can share conversation threads. So like in this project here, I can come over here to the three little dots on the right-hand side, click on share, and it will give me a shareable link that I can send to anybody on my team or anybody I want to share that with. And then custom GPTs inside of ChatGPT take a completely different approach. They're built for distribution, not collaboration. You can create a GPT once, configure it with instructions like we talked about earlier, any kind of knowledge files that you want, and then others can use it independently, but they're not going to be able to collaborate on that GPT with you on building it or sharing their conversations within it. So for example, you just come up here to the top right, click on share, and you've got three options. You can share it, you can not share it, just keep it for yourself, anyone with the link. So you can send the link of your GPT to anybody that you want, or you can share it with the GPT store. And by the way, I've done a video here that I'll link to right up here on the channel talking all about how to monetize your GPTs. So here's the practical impact of all this. If you need your team working from the same knowledge base and building on shared context, Claude is, at this time right now, literally your only option among these three tools. Trying to coordinate through individual ChatGPT accounts or even on the ChatGPT Teams account, everybody's working in isolation and it's not going to be easy to do. So if that's what you want to be doing in terms of collaboration, Claude Projects is going to be what you want. Let me paint this picture even further. Let's just say that you're managing a content team. You're working on a major client project. You've uploaded brand guidelines, competitor research, previous campaign data, and style guides. With Claude Projects, you invite your team members and they immediately have access to all of that context and information. Then they can build on each other's conversations within the project with Claude and maintain consistency within the project because they all have access to all of that context and knowledge. With ChatGPT Project, on the other hand, each team member would need their own individual account, or even within the team's account, they're not going to have cross collaboration opportunity. You have to upload all of the files separately, and there's no way to share the evolving understanding that you're building through the conversations within a project. It's like trying to coordinate a construction project, for example, where workers can't see the blueprints all at the same time or see what each other's working on. It doesn't make any sense. And then custom GPTs, well, they solve an entirely different problem. If you want to give somebody access to your methodology or your specific expertise without the collaborative element, maybe this is something that you do repetitively each and every week, and you don't need the value of context of past things that you're doing. Well, custom GPTs are going to be perfect. Think of them as like packaged expertise rather than a collaborative workspace. But there's one more critical difference that most people overlook when it comes to distinguishing and trying to figure out which of these tools to work with, if any at all. And it changes everything about how each of these tools actually work. And that is the reality of the memory architecture of each of these tools. Now, when it comes to memory, each of these tools handles it very differently, and that's going to impact how helpful these tools feel to you over time. In fact, this is a huge differentiator for me personally in my business and helping me decide which of these tools that I use. With Claude Projects, Claude can continuously reference everything inside a specific project, including documents that you upload into project knowledge, any kind of notes that you add, like we talked about before, we can copy paste notes, any past and previous conversations and chats that you've had, takes all that into account to provide smarter, more consistent responses. And with RAG, like we've been talking about, retrieval augmented generation, Claude doesn't just store these files, it searches them intelligently. So even in long or complex documents, it can find and surface exactly what's relevant to whatever question that you're putting into the chat box here. Now with ChatGPT Projects, on the other hand, the model will remember context within the same chat thread, meaning if I go down here into this specific thread, I can add a new chat here, and it will remember the context of earlier chats in that exact same thread, but not across threads in your project like in Claude Projects. And yes, it will use uploaded files that you upload here to the knowledge base and any kind of project brief that you give it to guide its responses. But with these knowledge files, unlike Claude, it doesn't automatically retrieve information from files unless you prompt it to specifically. And I think that's a huge key differentiator right there. Now, that said, if your memory settings are turned on, like we previously talked about, ChatGPT also learns your preferences and goals over time, like your writing style or tone, and will apply that personalization across all products and chats, not just the one you're in. But this is a huge differentiator between ChatGPT Projects and Claude Projects. Now, with custom GPTs, the memory architecture is going to be different again. So GPTs start every conversation with the same foundational instructions, the same files and capabilities that you've programmed into the GPT, but they do not remember what you talked about last time. So each chat is a fresh start. It's like talking to the same expert with a fixed knowledge base, but they have no short or long-term memory. It's a new chat every single time. And here's why this matters practically. Let's say that you're working on a content strategy over several weeks. With Claude Projects, it can automatically remember what you updated or discussed, even across multiple chats, as long as it lives in the same project, right? This is like building a shared brain for your work. You don't need to repeat yourself every time, and you don't need to go re-upload or re-prompt it every single time. It remembers past conversations in the context across your entire project. And with ChatGPT Projects, again, it's going to remember things within a single chat thread and your uploaded files stay attached to the project, but you're going to need to restate context or refer to specific documents or areas within documents very explicitly in new chats each time. Again, however, if memory's on, ChatGPT is still going to remember your overarching preferences of your ChatGPT account, just not the conversation specific details unless you stay in one thread. And with custom GPTs, you're always going to start fresh, same built-in knowledge, and there's no memory of what's happened in prior conversations. So this difference in how memory and context are handled within each of these tools completely changes how you collaborate with them over time. Now that we understand the memory architecture of ChatGPT Projects, Claude Projects, and GPTs, let's talk about the tool integration differences for each of these. And there's a pretty big divide. And this is really where the philosophical differences, if you will, between the tools really show up. ChatGPT Projects are going to give you access to the full OpenAI toolkit, if you will, including image generation, advanced voice mode, which is right over here on the right-hand side, if it's enabled, a code interpreter for calculations and file analysis. It allows you to connect to the internet and search the web right from within a project, and the new Canvas feature for editing and generating documents and code visually right here within the project. It's designed as sort of like your all-in-one AI space. So this is great for switching between writing, analysis, creative assets, building out images or what have you, and just exploring and researching topics, all without leaving your specific projects, which I think is really cool. Now, Claude Projects, on the other hand, is going to be a little bit different. You get artifacts, which is similar to the Canvas feature in ChatGPT, but it's more focused on viewing and iterating on content, but not images. It does have a limited but effective code interpreter, if you will. It is connected to the internet. So if you want to do web search, it does have deep research. You can also turn on extended thinking if you want to, right here within Claude Projects. I'm not going to deep dive into the MCP integrations because I just did that in the previous video, which I'll link to right here. But you come down here to the tools menu and you can connect all kinds of MCP connections and integrations, which is going to allow you to connect your Claude project to thousands and thousands of tools out there and essentially be able to interact with those tools right here from within Claude and a Claude project, which is really cool. Now, again, while you're not going to get native image generation here in Claude or in Claude projects, Claude is really going to shine in long form document work, content work, RAG powered analysis, and deep knowledge tasks like we've been talking about, particularly where collaboration and persistent context matter. Custom GPTs, on the other hand, are designed to be purpose-built assistants, one task for your GPT. When you create one, you choose which tools that you want to use. So if I go over in here into edit this specific GPT, I can come down here and I can turn on and turn off specific capabilities like web search, Canvas, image generation, code interpreter, etc. And again, you can upload custom instructions or files to shape its personality and skill set. But for the end user, the GPT is going to run on a very simplified interface. No projects like we've been talking about before, just the core assistant and the tools that you've allowed. And here's why this matters. If you're doing multimodal content creation, like maybe writing a blog post or a LinkedIn post, you're generating images or you're analyzing performance metrics, ChatGPT projects are going to give you the most unified toolkit for those types of creative workflows. But if you're tackling like research heavy writing, collaboration across your team, connecting to outside tools, maybe through MCP connections, or, wanting deep analysis across uploaded longer files, if you will, Claude projects are going to make a much better fit for you. And custom GPTs are going to be ideal when you want to hand somebody a streamlined AI assistant that does one thing really, really well. Now, with that said, you can connect your GPT to external tools through it's a more advanced capability, but you can come down here to actions and you can do different actions from within this section of your GPT here. It's going to be outside the scope of this particular video, but just know that you can do that. It is going to be a more advanced thing that you would do if that's what you want to do within a GPT. All right, so all of this sounds great in theory, but what about the costs of these tools to do the types of things that we're talking about here in this video? And let's talk pricing, because choosing the wrong plan can waste you money or frustrate the heck out of you because you're not able to do what you actually want to do with the tool that you're using. Now, to get access to ChatGPT Projects, costs $20 a month on the Plus plan or $200 a month if you're using the Pro plan, if you need the higher context limits. These are going to be individual accounts, no sharing. With the ChatGPT Teams plan, this is going to be $30 per month per person with a minimum of 2 people. Now, again, teammates cannot browse your projects, files, or memories. The only exception is if you proactively share an individual chat link, which I talked about before. Claude Projects costs $20 per month if you're on the Claude Pro plan, if you're working solo. But if you want to get into that collaboration and you want a Claude Teams plan, that's going to start at $30 a month also, but it has a 5-user minimum. So you're looking at $150 a month to get the collaboration features. Custom GPTs, on the other hand, require a ChatGPT Plus, Pro, or Team account to create. But once you create it, they can be shared with anyone. You don't have to be on a paying plan to use a GPT that somebody else has created. But if you want to create a GPT, you do need to be on a paid plan. I know that's a mouthful. And here's where the math gets interesting. If you're a solo entrepreneur and you don't have a team per se, paying for a Claude Teams plan doesn't make sense because you don't need the collaboration features. But if you're a team of 5 people or more trying to use the ChatGPT Teams account, which again, 5 times $30 a month, is $150 a month, you're not going to get the kind of collaboration features yet at the time recording this as you would for the same amount per month with a Claude Teams account. The key is actually matching your actual workflow, not your aspirational one, to make sure that you're on the right plan. So with all this information, and now you understand all the differences and what each of these 3 tools can do, how do you actually choose which one to use or which ones to use? Here's the framework that cuts through all the confusion when making this kind of decision. I want to encourage you to choose based on your specific workflow architecture. So choose Claude Projects when you've got huge knowledge bases, a ton of files and context that you want to put into a project, and you're wrangling, 100-page documents or dozens of PDFs, and you need Claude's RAG mode search capabilities plus the 200K token context, which again, just in the 200K token context is about 500 pages. If you want true team collaboration within a project like we talked about earlier, if you're gonna have text-first workflows primarily, and your priority is that deep document analysis, synthesizing research, or long-form drafting rather than images, then Claude Projects is gonna be what you wanna be using. Now, on the other hand, you'd wanna choose to use ChatGPT Projects when you want all-in-one creation. If you want image generation, advanced voice mode, which you also have, by the way, in Claude Projects, Python code interpreter, web browsing, deep research, Canvas live editing, if you want record mode, transcripts in one workspace. Now, the other big thing, even if you're a solo operator, that I think should really play into your decision-making is how you want to leverage the knowledge files or how you want your project to leverage the knowledge files. If you want the AI to really quickly synthesize and pull up things from your knowledge files, and you're gonna have a ton of knowledge files, I would go with Claude Projects. If you don't mind telling ChatGPT within the project here which specific sections of the files that you've uploaded matter the most to you, it's not going to do that auto retrieve like Claude does. So that's going to be another differentiating factor here. By the way, before I go on to custom GPTs and when you would want to choose them, one thing I find very annoying personally when it comes to adding files to my ChatGPT projects is if I go to add files here and I go to click on the add files button, I can only go right to my computer. Now, again, yes, I can go up here to tools and add from apps and stuff like that. I don't know. That is more of a specific thread rather than the overall project where, if you remember over in Claude, if you go over here to the tools, I can go to add things to the project knowledge and I can connect directly to my Google Drive. I can copy paste text in, or I can upload things right from my hard drive. So that's a big difference for me also. Might not be for you, but that's also a big thing for me. And then finally, choose a custom GPT. If you want to create repeatable assistance for specific tasks, you need to give others access to, again, your methodology without collaboration at all, or you just want streamlined, focused interactions rather than an open-ended workspace, creating a custom GPT will be really, really simple and probably the best solution for you. So now that you fully understand each of these tools, here's the bottom line. These are not competing products in my mind. They're different workflow tools. So I would encourage you, choose the option that matches how you actually work and what your specific needs are. And that is going to not only save you money, but also save you a ton of time and make you way more efficient in your business. Again, if you're an online entrepreneur and you're looking to leverage AI in your business to make it more efficient and profitable in the process, I want to invite you to join us inside my AI Playbook community. I'll link to it in the description below. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.